We are live. Dawn here with Romance Happy Hour. And I think that you can notice that Dylan is not here. I think she did tell some of our viewers that she wasn't going to be here. But I am joined by Britaini Armitage. Britaini, thank you for joining. She has guest host for us in the past before. So she's my go-to stand-in here. Britaini, how are you doing?
We're good. Wet, but we're good.
Yeah. And sick?
And sick, yes. The whole family
Yes.
has flu.
Yeah. It's horrible when it's the whole family, but I'm glad you guys are on the mend. So,
Yes, thank goodness.
And we are also joined by Matilda. And Matilda, what's your last name? Sorry, I forgot. I should have had you put it up there. Martel, sorry. Matilda Martel and Sasha Summers. Morning or evening. Oh my gosh, guys, that's how it's been today. I just got back from taking my boys to like family night at the school, and they was like rushing them out the door. Like, no, we got to go, and they still wanted to play the game. So that's where my mind's going a million miles an hour. But welcome. I have I have a 9 and 10-year-old, and then I have a 17-year-old daughter and a 19-year-old son. So all over the place.
Keeps you busy. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially the two younger ones and the teenage daughter. She's about to go to college, so it's all
that's exciting.
Well, Britaini, what are you working on lately?
When I'm not dealing with the kids in the farm, I'm working on the next book in my You and Me series. Sorry, my flu brain has me all over the place. It's taken a while with that one. That one's one of the books that I've canned like 5 times because I get like halfway done. I'm like, don't like it. Starting over. And
now, let me ask real quick. Do you delete it completely, or do you just put it in a, don't ever delete it, like put it in a pile of.
My Scrivener thing has like, here's a folder with take 1, here's a folder with take 2, and I think we're on take 5 now. And I can because I'm like, ooh, I really like this will fit in this. I like to keep that. So no, I don't think I could ever just delete it. But yeah, I have to keep parts of it. But I don't know what it is about this one. It's been a pain. I don't know if it's just because we've had a lot going on or what. But I'm like, I'm just ready for it to be done. But I can't move on. Everybody's like, just write another story. And I'm like, I can't. These characters will not leave me alone. And they're all I can think about. But they're being a pain. So I'm just kind of rolling with it.
I had one of those books last year. I was just like, by the time I got to the end, I was like, please never let me write another book like this again. Like, I can't do it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's the year for that.
It's not a book in this series if I don't scrap it at least once or twice, but this has got to be a record. I'm like, I can't keep doing this. You guys got to make up your mind what you're going to do in this story. And I've tried to plot it. I've tried to pants it. Nothing's working with this one. So it'll come together eventually. I'm trying not to force it. But I guess with everybody having the flu, it's been like a break. I haven't touched it. At it. I probably haven't touched or looked at it since New Year's because we've had back-to-back stuff happen. And I'm like, all right, I'm told I need to take a break. So hopefully when I mean, back, it'll be good.
That might be what you need to come when you come back to it. It'll be it, and then your words will come, and then you'll get it done.
Yeah, and then once it's ready, I'm like, this will feel right. So it has not felt right yet. I'll write it, and I'm like, we're getting there. But
so who are the characters in that one?
This one is Ben and Cass. So it's one of Ella's protection detail. And then Harper from the last book, it's her twin brother. So we get to hear their story. And they're quite different from the others. So I think that's probably what's playing into it.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, ladies. So Matilda, what do you write? I'm just going from left to right here.
I write very steamy romance, not necessarily erotica. I write some mafia romance, a lot of in the past, I write a lot of age gap. That's kind of what I'm known for. I love to write age gap, wide age gap, like 20 years. And so I kind of always incorporate it, even when I'm doing something humorous. They tend to be probably about 80% would be age gap. But I do write a little bit of paranormal, and I'm starting a paranormal series. The first book comes out in March, and it's about maybe 8 books, but it starts with the first one, and it's these whole sort of like monster romances, but they're all set in their own little world. It's a parallel world to ours, and they all kind of get along. It's almost just like it's very parallel. It's just like they do the same things. They go to jobs. The main character is running for office, and they is that me? And he's in the middle of his election, and so he has to revamp and that's what it's called. It's called Revamp, and the first one's a vampire, and he's trying to like make his image a little bit better. And then during this whole time that he's going through all this, he finally finds his mate. So he's you hear that? There's like a little bit of
Sasha, is there feedback going on in yours?
No.
Let's see. But Matilda, try to mute you and see. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, was it mine? Anyway, so he's
That's so weird because we didn't have that before. Like the whole, I don't know what it is. But you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me though?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna take off the external microphone. I think that's what's doing it.
Okay.
Anyway, so he finds his mate. So while he's trying to revamp his image, he's just going crazy, like trying to win her over and just doing the worst things possible to try to get her. So it's going to go from a monster. The other one after that's a demon. The next one's.
Okay, Sasha, try to mute you and let's see. Sorry. Yeah, maybe that's it. Is there? I don't know. Now Brantley's muted because she's, I think, coughing. Sorry, Brittany. I was giving you away. Yeah, I think, Sasha, I think it's you. You got some kind of feedback on that side. I'm sorry. They see the technical difficulties like to work itself out in the middle of the show so that the viewers can watch me struggle to try to get it fixed. All right, Matilda, go ahead. Sorry, keep going.
No. The third one's a minotaur and a demon, and I don't know. It's a really, really complex sort of world, which I've never really done a whole world building sort of thing. And but yes, the first one comes out March 1st. It's called Revamp, and it's a vampire and a witch. So
awesome! Yay! I love a good vampire. I mean,
and it's not really dark either. It's not. It's kind of more humorous than it is. There's dark elements, but it's not, something.
So, what book are you reading from today? Then
I'm reading from my latest release, and it's called Big Bad Daddy, and it released January the 5th, and I'm reading the second chapter just because that's when they meet. That's when the two characters finally meet, and it's part of another. The first book was called Big Bad Wolf, and this is that character's father, that hero's father, who's much older. And at the end of that book, he kidnapped the heroine. She went willingly. They were, but now her friend, who doesn't know what's happened, she's looking for her. So she goes to his father because she knows that who kidnapped her, but she doesn't know how to find her. And so she makes the trip to his father's place in Brooklyn, and is just asking for, she doesn't really know what she wants, but she's wanting help from him. And that's when they start kind of falling in love with each other. She doesn't, he's too young for her. He's too old for her. She's too young for him, but they just start falling in love while he's trying to help her. And he already knows where his son is, but he's dragging it along so that he can spend time with her.
Awesome.
And that's the book I'm giving away as well. I'm giving away a paperback. And also some not safe for work art. I'll tuck it into the paperback.
Oh.
I don't have the book with me. I didn't bring the paperback that I'm giving away. It's a signed paperback, but I'll show you the cover just so you can have something to.
Yeah.
So this is the cover.
Oh.
I'm getting the thing from my own.
Glare?
Yeah, sorry.
We can pop it up there. I'll find while one of you is reading, I'll find the link to it. Pop it up there so we can see it as well. So Big Bad Daddy. Okay. Yes. Awesome. And what about you, Sasha? So tell us a little bit about you, what you're giving away, anything you want the readers to know.
Okay. Hopefully there's not, because I can't hear any of it. So I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't give you the feedback. I'm going to be reading from a book that just came out actually on Monday, Must Love Bees.
Nice.
And it's the second in my Honey Acres series. I'm giving away an autographed copy of the first one, The Sweetest Thing. So, sorry.
Wow, love it.
So it's a contemporary series about a female family of beekeepers in the Texas Hill Country. And it's been a lot of fun to research beekeeping. I mean, it took all these classes and went to all these different conventions, and it's a totally different world. But it's been really cool and meeting so many people and to learn all this stuff about bees themselves. I do like a Monday bee fact now because they're just so awesome. So I finished that series. I'm working on my next cowboy book in an ongoing series through a special edition. It's their Texas Canines and Cowboys. And of course, there's going to be a cowboy and a dog and all of them. So there you go. So that one, and then I have another cowboy series that will be right after that. And it's their heartwarming line. So it's the sweeter stuff, but it's all very small town, big families, definite HEA. The heartwarming, none of the sweet, steamy stuff on the page, but the special edition, they tend to have a little bit of on-page interactions. So, yeah. But the Sweetest Thing and Must Love Bees, they're definitely PG-13.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes. So, oh gosh. So I'm like, now I'm crackling in my ear, but it's just in this ear, so I know it's me for sure. Gosh, now I forgot what I was going to ask you. I tried to do that. It just, so I popped revamp up there, but it just gave me all the words and not the graphics. Sorry. Yeah. So awesome. Where are you writing at, Sasha? You're writing at Harlequin?
Yes. I'm writing at Harlequin right now. Yeah. That's the only publisher I'm working with right now.
And what lines are you in more than one line?
Yeah. So I do, the Hotter Cowboys are with their special edition line. The Sweet Cowboys are with Heartwarming. And then the Bees books are with what used to be HQN, and now they've called Canary Street Press. It's their single title line. So yeah, I've been very, very lucky to be able to write for them in a couple of different lines.
Awesome. And what about you, Matilda? Do you self-publish or are you traditionally?
I do. I self-publish.
Awesome. Yeah. We kind of get a plethora. Like there's just, I'm hybrid myself. And I think Dylan, she's hybrid too. So we have a lot of both indie and traditional. And I love it. I love when I can see where everybody's from and everybody has such a different path.
Yeah, it is really cool because everybody's story is so different.
It is.
And I love to hear, how people get or where they started and how they got where they are. I think it's neat because everyone finds their own way.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. And Brittany, you're indie, right?
Yep. I'm indie.
Yeah. Awesome. Yay. Okay. Is there anything else you ladies would like your readers to know? Sasha, what are you giving away? Did you say that already?
Oh, yeah. I can do it again, though. It's the first one in the Honey Acre series, The Sweetest Thing. So I will sign it and send it. And I don't know if you guys get international, but I'll do national or international.
So. Oh, you will. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Sasha has graciously volunteered to be our first reader today. Do you need to set anything up for the viewers?
Yeah. So first I'm going to say I do have the flu, just like poor Brittany. So if I know I'm really red-faced, got a little bit of a fever. So if my voice starts to go wonky, I will apologize now. But as far as this story goes, this is so all books are about 3 different sisters, the Hill sisters, and this is Astrid's book. And so our character Astrid, she's kind of the they kind of joke and call her the bee whisperer because she just tends to know and anticipate what the bees need before it becomes blatantly obvious or something goes wrong. And she's just kind of this very, I don't know, earth mother character, if you will. She's just very loving and nurturing and wants to just make people happy. She's just a real giver. And Charlie is our hero. And this is very much a grumpy sunshine story. He struggles with terrible social anxiety. He's had a very rough childhood. He's a little neurodivergent, so he has some real issues expressing himself. And he is been widowed now for about a year and has become the stepfather to the 2 girls that were his wives. And he's struggling just in all parts of his life. He can't emote, he can't express. He just wants the kids to be safe. He doesn't know how to really deal with them. And they have had to go back to Honey, Texas, because his great aunt passed away, or his aunt passed away, and she has kind of left him in charge of her estate. So he has come home to sell her honey farm, which is neighboring to the Hills estate. And actually, it's not a honey farm. She just keeps some of the Hill bees on her place. And Charlie's just there because he's thinking, I'm going to sell it. It's going to be done. Me and the girls can go back home, and we can struggle there versus struggling here where I don't know anything. And Astrid just kind of sees that he's struggling and really, really, really tries to step in and help him. So it's Charlie and Astrid, and at this point they've already met. And his 2 little girls, Nova, and she's 5, and she's adorable, and she's obsessed with astronomy and carries around a little blue star toy that is called Scorpio. And then the teen, Hallie, after Hallie's comment, because their mom was an astronomer, she's just a teen. So if you have teens, you know what that means. She doesn't mean to be difficult, but it's the way it is. Anyway, so Astrid has come over. They've already kind of bumped heads, and she's tried, and Charlie's made it very clear he wants nothing to do with her family or her, and she's interfering. And so, of course, what does she do? She shows up one morning with a basket full of baked goods because that's what you do. That's the way she grew up. That was what her aunt wanted her to do. So she arrives at the aunt's house where Charlie and his girls are staying. So that's, sorry, my very long-winded setup. But this is going to be chapter 3, and I'm going to do my best to read her. Chapter 3, you 2 must behave. Astrid adjusted the basket she carried. Both oatmeal and pudding, 2 of Aunt Camelia's sizable canine collection, wagged their tails at her. I don't know how Charlie feels about dogs. She hoped Hallie and Nova would be dog enthusiasts. No jumping or barking or drooling, Oatmeal. She patted the large St. Bernard mix on the head. I know you can't help it, but try the best you can. She'd waited until Saturday to visit the Driver family again, hoping Charlie wouldn't mind her visit as much on a non-work day. She walked the path from Henny Hill Farms to Rebecca's cottage, armed with a basket of baked goods, some flowers from their garden, and the Nova-sized bike helmet they'd found in the bed of Dane's pickup truck. Dane had offered to return it, but Astrid took it as a sign to deliver the helmet herself. Tansy had told her to stop wasting her time. Aunt Camelia told her not to get her hopes up, and Dane had outright called Charlie a condescending beep. But Astrid was determined. Besides, she had to get the whole junior beekeepers discussion out of the way because, sorry, I should have said that. She's going to be having a camp on Rebecca's property that Charlie has no idea about. It was only when the cottage came into view that Astrid slowed. Charlie had been displeased by her last unplanned visit. Why had she thought this would go any better? Maybe she should write a note, leave the basket on the porch, and go. That would have made sense. She peered down at the dogs trotting alongside her. Don't you think? But the dog's tails only kept wagging. I'll take that as a yes. She tiptoed onto the porch, her stomach a jumble of nerves, and rummaged through her bag for a pen and paper when the front door opened. Astrid! Nova squealed, opening the screen door. Hi, what you got? She stared beyond Astrid. Are those your dogs? There were soap suds in Nova's hair, and her shirt and shorts were dripping wet. Good morning. Astrid couldn't resist the little girl's enthusiasm. Treats. She patted the basket and glanced back to find oatmeal and pudding sitting on the top step, looking hopeful. They're my aunt's dogs, and they're very well behaved and will stay. She held out her hand. That's right, you heard me. Stay. Oatmeal and pudding didn't look very happy about this development. Hey, Astrid. Hallie came onto the porch. I thought Charlie scared you off like forever. She ran her hand over her wet hair and shook soap suds from her leg and foot. Astrid wasn't sure what to make of the girl's mildly sodden appearances. It takes a lot to scare me off. She held out the basket. I thought I'd return Nova's helmet and leave some yummies my Aunt Camellia made. You want to come in? Hallie waved her inside. Oh no, she shook her head. But she didn't want to push her luck. At the same time, the soap suds had piqued her curiosity. Son of a monkey! The exclamation was like a gunshot. So loud, Astrid winced. It was Charlie. He was not happy. It's the washing machine, Nova whispered in her not-so-whispery voice. It attacked Charlie and Hallie and me and Scorpio, too, which would explain the soap suds and the dripping. The door keeps flying open. There's soap and water all over the laundry room floor. Hallie was trying not to laugh. She had been a victim of Rebecca's temperamental washing machine a time or two and had learned a few tricks to ensure the machine behaved. Apparently, Charlie had not been informed of the broken latch or the need to balance the finicky machine. Did he put the frog on top of the washer door? Both Nova and Hallie gave her an odd look. Maybe I should come inside. Astrid grinned, took a deep breath, and walked through the living room and into the kitchen. There was a constant stream of muttering coming from behind the pale blue cafe doors that separated the laundry room from the kitchen. She placed the basket on the kitchen table, smiled at the girls who were following her, and peered over one of the cafe doors into the laundry room. She wasn't sure what she'd expected, but finding a red-faced, soaking wet Charlie Driver sprawling across the lid of the machine as it bounced and shook wasn't it. She couldn't have been surprised that She shouldn't have been surprised that his white button-up clung to him like a second skin, a very tight, very see-through second skin. From the looks of it, the washing machine was winning and dumping water all over the tile floor. Astrid was on the verge of announcing her presence when his hold tightened and the muscles in his arms and back flexed. Charlie was fit. Not big muscles like Dane, but lean and strong all the same. Astrid hadn't stopped to consider how much was too much in the muscle department before, but seeing Charlie's impressively carved torso, she decided Charlie's build was exactly right. Now that she'd made this unexpected realization, she was having a hard time ignoring the rather insistent fluttering in her stomach. Oh, so much fluttering, which would have been fine if her brain hadn't suddenly become a confused and jumbled mess. If she was going to have any sort of productive conversation with this man, being confused and jumbled would not do. But it'd better to steady herself before announcing her presence and defeating the washing machine. Then he'd be in a better mood, even grateful, perhaps. Close, just stay closed. The frustration in his voice suggested poor Charlie was at his wit's end. Astrid's here, Nova announced with this great enthusiasm and volume. Oh, hi, she waved, stepping back as he let go of the lid and turned to face her. The lid flew back and soap suds rained down, the spin cycle flinging water everywhere. Charlie frowned, his hooded eyes narrowing a fraction of an inch. The large pile of iridescent soap bubbles perched atop his head, wiggling in time with his harsh, uneven breathing. She smiled, refusing to be distracted by the water-soaked shirt glued to Charlie's chest. Laundry day? Apparently, her attempt at a joke wasn't funny. She cleared her throat. If he kept making that face, he'd have a permanent crease between his dark brows, making his handsome face perpetually grumpy. An errant spray of water squirted him in the eye, prompting the muscle in his jaw to bulge and setting her into action. May I? She nodded at the washing machine. Let me have a sip of water real quick. Sorry, guys. Rebecca had a trick for it. She was very good at that, coming up with all sorts of band-aids. She didn't trust anyone to do repairs without charging her an arm and a leg. Talking when nervous was what Astrid did. And she hated spending money when she didn't have to. She wouldn't hear of replacing a perfectly good, albeit temperamental, washing machine. Excuse me. Charlie pushed his thick hair from his forehead, his expression going blank as he moved aside. The bubbles on top of his head shimmied, but remained as they were. Lovely. Astrid stepped into the room, her sandals slipping out from under her, thanks to the soap bubble covered floor. Careful. Charlie caught her by the upper arms. His deep brown eyes raked over her face, his scowl worse than ever, all impatience and disapproval. She's just trying to help. Nova tugged on his pants leg. This reminder didn't seem to do a thing for Charlie's frame of mind. He continued to glare as he held her upright with surprisingly warm hands. Astrid gripped his strong, solid arms until she'd regained her footing, fully aware that all the touching and staring was only increasing her jumbledness. Thank you. With a wiggle of each foot, her sandals were off and she let go of Charlie. There, she scanned the room, her eyes settling on Rebecca's washing machine fix. Found it. She held her hands up as she stepped past the washing machine and lifted the concrete frog garden sculpture. What are you doing? Charlie sounded as impatient and disapproving as he looked. Astrid hefted the frog sculpture, closed the lid, and rested the frog on the exact right spot on the lid. Your laundry. She brushed off her hands and smiled at him. The machine continued to jiggle, but the machine was no longer shaking the entire house, and the lid stayed shut. Rebecca almost took the frog to the town swap meet. She said it didn't fit in the garden. She was very particular about her garden, as you know. Well, I don't need to tell you. She paused, aware of the man's ability to remain absolutely still. It was unnerving. Then the washing machine shifted, along with the foundation of the house. And she said it was meant to be. The frog fixed the machine without having to spend money on the foundation or the machine. Easy peasy. Charlie eyed the frog, his jaw clenched tight. Does it go anywhere on the lid? Hallie asked, sloshing across the floor to peer at the washing machine. Right here, Astrid pointed, on that purple sticker. Preferably before you start the machine, Astrid shrugged. It works. Yeah, yay, I like his silly face too. Nova stuck her tongue out and crossed her eyes like the frog statue. Hallie laughed. Dork. The teeniest corner of Charlie's mouth curved up. You look just like him. Can we name him Hero? Nova was very serious about this. Since he made the water and soap and clothes stop flying all over the place. That was when Astrid noticed a pair of red shorts hanging off one of the fan blades overhead. There was a sudsy sock atop Rebecca's craft boxes stacked on the laundry room shelves, and several other items on the floor or stuck to the wall. She couldn't keep a straight face, no matter how hard she tried. She giggled. A hero, indeed. You too, Astrid. Nova clapped her hands. Look, Charlie, she brought my bike helmet back and treats from her aunt and her aunt's dogs, too, and showed us how to do laundry. Charlie's headed gaze darted her way before sweeping over his girls, the frog, and the washing machine. He sighed, both hands raking through his hair. It wasn't the first time he'd done that, this hair thing. I didn't want Nova to miss her helmet. Astrid shifted from one foot to the other and stared down at the water. And my aunt is an amazing baker. She's on the traditional side. New neighbors are always welcomed with food and a smile. She smiled at Charlie. That wasn't necessary. Charlie glanced her way again, but he didn't smile. Hallie's sigh was even more disappointed than the last one. And her dogs are really cute. Nova paused. One of them is huge. Oatmeal. He's harmless. Astrid's gaze caught on the very blue spot on the pocket of Charlie's all but see-through shirt and his rather distracting chest. While he might be fine staring at her, she was not okay with staring at him or the drastic surge of her stomach flutters that resulted. Your shirt. There's a spot. He stared down at his shirt, scowled again, and tugged the garment up and over his head. He sprayed the shirt with spot cleaner and moved aside the frog statue, added his shirt to the wash, closed the lid, and put the frog back in place. Astrid watched the whole thing, speechless. Besides his chest being, well, impressive, his barely repressed frustration was obvious by the force he used to throw his shirt in the washer. Astrid had never met anyone so mad. He seemed angry with the world. She'd hoped showing him the frog trick would somehow ease the tension, but clearly that wasn't the case. I think that's about the right time. I figure it's a good place to cut off too.
Sounds good to me. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Aw,
Such
thanks.
a cute, meet cute. I love it.
Yeah. I had a really good
Laundry.
time visualizing the kids, and the soap suds, and I will say his name is Charlie Driver because I based him on Adam Driver. I don't know if you guys know that actor.
Yeah.
I think he's really dreamy. So, I got to visualize him like with a soaking wet shirt, being all see-through. It was great. It was a great scene to write.
I know, right? I mean, it's always great when you can really get into it and visualize, and then you're
Yes.
and you can tell by your prose. I mean, your everything, your writing is, yeah.
Thank you. I felt like I was creaking the whole time. I was
No,
like,
you were very
your voice was good.
Yeah, you were good. You were good.
Thank you.
So I know we have a couple of questions already, but I do have some of myself. So I am gonna the dogs, right? Or I do have one. I have one. I wrote it down. That's why I was reading. The dogs. Are they all food named dogs?
Yes, they are. Yes, every animal. So Camellia, that one of the aunts. There's two aunts. She just adopts everything. So every cat, dog, donkey, I think that's all they've got. It has a food name, with the exception of her parrot, and her parrot is named Lord Byron.
What's
After,
the
because why not?
name?
So yeah, and he's quite the cheeky parrot who likes to steal from the other aunt all the time. He's nice to everybody but the other aunt. So there's that ongoing kind of rivalry there.
That's funny. What's the donkey's name? Just out of curiosity.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to look that up. I seriously.
Oh my gosh,
sorry. I think they're both named after nuts. I think it's hazelnut and because one's a regular and one's a mini donkey.
Oh. You can
He's
tell
on
us
my
later.
end.
That's okay.
Okay, I will have
Once
to
it
come back
comes
to
to
you. 'Cause off
you.
the top of my
Yeah,
head.
no. No worries. No worries. Okay, Brittany, did we have some questions? We did,
We
right?
do.
A couple.
Yes, we do. We have a couple. Let's see. One person asked, at what part of the writing process do you choose the title? Do you do it before writing? And if you do, does it change? Does it ever change as you start to write?
Well, for me, and I know it's different when you're indie, right? Because you get to pick your title, which is great. I can throw suggestions at my publisher, but they pretty much are the ones that set it. They've been really great about the packaging of the bee books. So, Must Love Bees and The Sweetest Thing. And then the next one is Honeybee Mine. So I love the titles. They really are great. But yeah, most of the time it's my publisher, and they kind of use what they think are good keywords, which makes sense, right? To catch a reader's eye.
Yeah, sorry, I was finding it. I popped it up. You could read it.
I choose the title immediately. Like I choose a title. Probably that's the first thing I do before I even plot or do anything. It's usually something. It'll be something from a song, or it'll be something, or I'll get an idea, and from there I'll choose like a vague idea, and from then I'll choose a title, and from the title it kind of just. Every once in a while I've changed the title midway, but that's really rare. Usually I'm very visual, so I'll pick the title, I'll get I have the cover, everything before I even start writing. So yeah, I just have to do everything ahead of time.
I had a question. It was in my brain, and it just like literally immediately left my brain.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm like that.
Yeah, I apparently I think too fast for my own good.
I have to write everything down.
That was my own question. It was title related, so we'll come back to
I
that.
love how you said that you get yours from book or songs or something, because I did. That's how I named the first book in my series. Was I could not find a name for it. Nothing sounded right, and I was listening to a Mumford and Sons song, and there was a line in there, and I'm like, "That's the name of the first book." So that's cool. I didn't.
They're on many of my playlists. I love Mumford and Sons. They're awesome.
This next book for Revamp, it's the only one I think that my husband has chosen the title for. I was giving him the idea for it, whatever, and I wanted something that said somebody who's going through like a redo, and he's a vampire. He's one just came up with Revamp.
It's very
I love that title.
Yeah, it was a perfect title. I was like, I cannot believe you actually came up with a title.
To be honest, I think you're going to have to tell your husband for us that we think that he made a good choice, because I was literally
on it. He wants credit for it. He wants to be, You're lying in the title, and he's just so proud of himself that he actually came up with the title, because I've never
let him. I basically wrote the book.
Yeah, he's pretty much, he did the hard part. He came up with the title.
It is a good title.
I'm sure. I said I'm sure I would have thought of that eventually, but he's very proud of himself. He's been waiting for me to write it, because he thought of that title last year, and so he's been waiting for me to write it this whole time. And like that's the only one that he knows. He couldn't name my books if you held a gun to his head, but he knows that one because he came up with the title. So he's very proud.
That's so funny. Your husband sounds a lot like mine, just FYI. Like, I'll take credit. I will. Like,
He's just so, he's a writer now.
Got it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it is a good title. I was actually, when you said that, I'm like, oh, that totally makes sense. I could see the genre just hearing the title. So
it's a great title. I'm sure I would have come up with it, but he saved me so much time. I'd like to think I would have come up with it, because it's so obvious. But it's
maybe paper writing. Nope.
Yeah. No. So I was just stuck on what that title should be until he said that. And so I'm like, oh, okay, now I can write this because I have a title for it. So
okay. So I'm just going to show this because this is part of the conversation currently from, Facebook user, I love you. And I think that you're Karen. Is that Karen? No. Yeah, Karen. Oh, I love Karen. Yes, I knew it was Karen. I had a feeling. For some reason, it says Facebook user for her. She says we need to ask for his autograph. So, I don't know if you want to tell him that Karen wants his autograph, but yeah,
The signed special edition.
That's right.
Special edition
Revamped
to Karen.
named it. Yeah.
All right, Brittany, do we have any more questions?
They also asked, are you a plotter or a pantser? This is always an interesting one. I find this fascinating.
I always plot and then I don't even stick to it and I just go, you know, sometimes I'm halfway through writing and I'll joke around with one of my closest friends, another author named Carla Doyle, and I'll be writing and I'm like, this, you know, I'm about to finish this book and I don't even know how it ends. I'm not even sure yet. Like, I'm not sure this. And I never thought I'd be one of those people that says, you know, well, like, I don't know where the characters will take me. You know, it just sounds so pretentious, but it's so true because it's halfway through it. And I'm like, I just don't feel like this character would do something like that. You know, never mind that I created him. So yeah, I'm a huge, I don't want to be. I try with every book, I try to plot it out and do everything. And it just doesn't. It works for maybe the first few chapters. And after that, I go crazy.
Yeah. Our viewers have heard this before, but I'm going to say, because you guys haven't, I was once having a conversation with my husband and I was telling him about like something that happened in the book that I was writing today. And I said, and then, I can't remember what character it was, did this and this and this. He's like, you mean you made him do that? And I'm like, no, he did that shit on his own. I'm like, no, he did that on his own. He's like, no, you wrote it. I'm like, nope. Like, he's the one that did that, like, not me. So I totally get it. Yeah, they take you in weird.
Yeah, I try to do like very loose plotting because for me, if you detail too much, it's almost like you've already written the book, and so it's kind of like, what's the fun in that? You know what I mean? And I think you're right, though. I think a lot of times that your characters evolve when you're writing them, right? So they're going to do things you didn't expect. But along the story, though, of your husband, when he's saying, you know, you did that. So when I was writing my werewolf series a while back, I was on a writing retreat with a really dear author friend. And we were both in the zone, you know, we're both clicking away. And I stopped and I was like, oh my God, the body's gone. Because I didn't know the body was going to be gone. And we laughed for like 30 minutes because, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're writing the book, but you're just sometimes feel like, you know, you're channeling it. Like you're not coming up with it, you know. I mean, obviously I did somewhere, but not consciously. So I totally get it. Totally.
Yeah. And I wonder if readers think that like authors just know everything. Like we're all plotters. We know that things are going to happen. I think they would be surprised to hear like you say, I was like yelling, oh my gosh, where's the body? Like the body's gone. And you were surprised to know like the body was missing. They're like, but you wrote it. And you're like, no. I wrote the words, not the plot, not the story. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's do one more, and then we will get to Matilda. What do you got for us, Brittany?
Let's see. Here's a good question. When did you publish your first book?
Mine was 2018, March.
Oh. Mine was 2012.
I think mine was 2014 or 15. I'm gonna have to look that one up now. I think it was after my third was born, so that would probably be 2014.
I think mine was let's see. I honestly, Brittany, and I know you can relate to me. Sometimes I gauge time by which unit we were at because I know because Brittany and I both have prior military husbands, so we did a lot of our writing as wives. And I did my time according to what unit we were at and what years we were at. So I think I did mine in 2011, 2012, because I was in Washington State.
It was either location or child. That's how
which child was born. Yeah. You're like, I know I was here. I was here and I was pregnant with this one. So yeah. All right. So Matilda, do you need to set anything up for us?
Just briefly. So the FMC, the female main character, is her name is Sybil, and the main male character is Boris, and he's 48. She's about 22, and she is going to at this point she's already secured an appointment with him to see him, and he's not the kind of person that sees appointments or keeps appointments with people. He's the head of a Russian bratva, a mafia, and but he saw her picture. She happens to be a fashion model, and he saw her picture in a magazine, so he's intrigued, and he decides that okay, he can spare a few minutes to meet her in person, not thinking anything's going to come out of it, thinking he's just going to get her out of his system and see her and see she sounded panicked, so he's going to throw her a bone and see her. And so at this point she already has her appointment. She's going up to the house and is going to meet him. So this is the second chapter, and this is where they meet. So should I start?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. So this is chapter 2, and this is Sybil, her point of view. Do it for Scarlett. Do it for your friend. The voice in my head echoes off the walls of my panic-stricken brain as I step out of the taxi and tread quietly toward the iron gate. My pumps wobble beneath my weak ankles. Struggling in vain to steady my gait against the slick incline leading me to the burly men guarding the only entrance to Boris Volkov's Gothic estate. I have an appointment, I whisper, my voice nothing more than a breathy sigh, as I search the contents of my purse for my notes. I was told to ask for Bogdan Volkov. My name is Sybil Sheridan. Is he available for me? I brush the strands of sweaty hair off my forehead and drop my nervous gaze to the pavement. 2 minutes in, and I'm already failing miserably. Tasha told me to look them in the eye. She made me promise not to look away first. Their stony expressions and piercing gazes are a test. Men like these can smell fear and use it to their advantage at the first opportunity. I clear my throat and lift my chin, willing my heartbeat to decelerate, fearing its moments from shooting straight out of my chest. Is he here, or did he cancel without notice? The sound of my stern voice surprises me. It's a ridiculous act that may cost me dearly, but I can't back down so soon. This is a matter of life or death, and I'm strong enough to fight for the sake of my dear friend. I know Scarlett would do the same for me. One of the men, the taller of the two, nods without a word and unlocks the gate. Mr. Volkov is expecting you. Follow me. His gruff voice makes me jump, and his long stride forces me to catch up 2 steps at a time. He walks with purpose, clenching giant mitts like he's looking for a fight. I only hope it's not with me. Am I disturbing him? I ask as we pass through a thick black door embossed with Cyrillic letters across the top. I'm unsure what it spells, and there's no sense asking the stern man leading the way. He doesn't appear interested in holding a conversation with me. I step onto the marble floor and cringe at the sound of my Mary Jane pumps echoing off the walls. Mortified by my heavy steps, I tiptoe on the balls of my feet, then realize my correction has made me fall behind. The giant man in front of me peers over his shoulder and furrows his brow disapprovingly. He shifts his gaze to the empty space between us and silently commands me to hurry. Sorry, I murmur and leap into position, forcing myself to stop looking around and catch up. This way. The scary man escorting me curls a finger and points toward a hallway beneath a sprawling black staircase. His icy expression makes a shiver run down my spine, but I tread into the darkness, hoping the light illuminating our path leads me to someone willing to help me. This may all be for nothing. Boris Volkov has no obligation to offer his assistance. Why would he? Now that I'm here and risking my life, I think my optimism may have been more premature and delusional. May have been both premature and delusional. My panicked mind urges me to run, but adrenaline makes me brave. I should be more frightened than I feel, but I can't let Scarlett down. I've seen enough documentaries to know that the first 48 hours are crucial. As much as I prefer not to wade through Brooklyn's underworld to gather information on her whereabouts, I can't count on the proper authorities. They refuse to help if her parents are concerned enough to file a report. I still can't believe they can be so calm about this. It's incredibly suspicious. Scarlett's stepmom worries about the most trivial things and doesn't appear fazed by her stepdaughter's sudden disappearance. I'm almost certain she's been kidnapped by Vasily Volkov, Boris's lunatic son, and everyone is pretending she's okay because they're too terrified to create a scandal or get on the wrong side of the Volkov drama. At least that's what my friend Tasha believes. She knows more than me about these things. Tasha grew up around the Volkovs and knows firsthand how ruthless they can be. When we reach the end of the hallway, my brawny guide knocks twice and leans his ear to the wood, listening for an answer before he turns the knob. He nods once, having heard something inaudible to me, and pushes the door open. Mr. Volkov, Sybil Sheridan is here to see you. The man grunts, then waits for a reply, watching my nervous fidgeting from the corner of his eye. She's early. A deep, gravelly voice floats from the room and makes my hair stand on end. He's right. I'm 10 minutes early, but Boris Volkov didn't sound like the kind of man you keep waiting. Show her in, Gaspar, and please let me know when Bogdan arrives. With trembling steps and a drawn-out gait, I walk into the private office of a man known to everyone as the boogeyman of Brooklyn. Lord help me, what have I gotten myself into? The room is devoid of color. Everything's black or gray with specks of white to add dimension. A bookcase lines one wall, and expensive-looking paintings decorate the other. The office is understated but elegant, masculine yet uncreative and joyless. The entire house needs a woman's touch to bring it to life. Although I wonder what caliber of woman would be desperate enough to hitch her wagon to a man referred to as the boogeyman. I suppose some women are into bad boys, but there must be a point where you draw the line. The most terrifying man I've ever seen sits in the far end of the room. Piercing brown eyes focus on me. They're sharp and menacing, like a hungry predator eyeing his prey. I clasp my hands and wring them tightly, digging my fingernails into my skin until I nearly draw blood. Tasha was right. I must be out of my mind believing anything I do can persuade this man to help a stranger. He's a brutal killer, not a good Samaritan. Mr. Volkov? My voice shakes as I tiptoe closer, breaking his sharp gaze to allow me a moment to breathe. His expression is utterly unreadable. I have no idea if my presence piques his curiosity or annoys the hell out of him. For the sake of my mental well-being, I'll pretend he's intrigued. Miss Sheridan, please take a seat. Boris waves his massive hand at the lone chair in front of his large desk. I didn't expect him to be so handsome. I'm unsure why I expected a man resembling Marlon Brando in The Godfather. Boris looks nothing like that. He seems like no other one I've ever met. Tasha told me he's just a few years shy of 50. The only thing about his appearance that looks middle-aged is his salt and pepper hair, both on his head and the light dusting peeking out from the top of his dress shirt. I'm so nervous I could vomit. And the man doesn't appear to have a care in the world. He sits comfortably, leaning back as he crooks his elbows and places his hands behind his head. I avert my gaze, afraid he'll see my eyes skim across the broad landscape of his sculpted chest and perfectly defined pecs. It's impossible to control my gaze. Since I walked into this room, my eyes have seemingly developed a mind of their own. Thank you for seeing me. You must be a busy man, and I'm grateful you've taken time out of your schedule on such short notice. I whisper, tucking the sides of my short dress before sitting, hoping it doesn't ride up high enough to give him an accidental peep show. There are plenty of things I do to help find Scarlett, but I'm not sure if prostituting myself is one of them. You caught me at a good time. I had the evening off, and my advisor told me to sound frantic. You sounded frantic. I understand you're worried about your friend. Boris says, his stony expression lacking the requisite empathy. The man is toying with me. He knows why I'm here, but he'll still make me beg for help. This will almost certainly be a disaster. I swear Scarlett better be in danger. That girl will owe me big time when all this is over. I swallowed the lump clogging my throat, summoned my courage, and blurted out why I'm here. Scarlett Rossi is my best friend. She's like the sister I never had. My sister Megan is rotten to her core and nothing like Scarlett. I ramble, too nervous to stop the needless words falling from my lips. Boris stares, his eyes narrowing with confusion. He parts his lips to speak, then pauses when he sees me take a deep breath and lean forward to continue my incoherent prattling. 2 days ago, Scarlett traveled to her grandmother's house in Rye. It's a 90-minute drive with traffic. We message one another, averaging a text every minute. Then her text suddenly stopped. It worried me, of course, but naturally I assumed she lost service. The countryside never has reliable signal. An hour later, I called her grandmother, and she still hadn't arrived. I called back again and again with no success. When I reached out to her parents, they didn't seem concerned and told me they would look into it and get back to me. Look into it, I shout, then hold my fingers to my lips, embarrassed when my voice bounces off the walls after emerging twice as loud as I intended. Boris Volkov lifts one well-landscaped silver eyebrow and angles his head, glaring, like he's only minutes away from fastening me into a straitjacket. He clears his throat and rests his clasped hands on his desk, his stern expression softening as he speaks. What may I do for you, Miss Sheridan? You still haven't told me why you're here. How did you decide I was the person to help you find Scarlett? The corner of his mouth tips into a slight grin, and my insides melt into pudding. I shrink in my seat and dab a tissue on my dewy brow. Boris Volkov is even more attractive than his hottest son. Mr. Volkov. He cuts me off and corrects my formality. Call me Boris, please, he suggests, although his stern gaze makes it feel more like a command. I nod, suck in a loud breath, and try to organize my thoughts. Forgive me. Anxiety runs in my family. You're very kind to tolerate this intrusion. I hold my breath and say a silent prayer that this man doesn't lose his temper when I accuse his son of criminal activity. It seems far-fetched since they're known criminals, but you never know what offends people. My gaze meets his, and my panicked heart sprouts wings. His soulful brown eyes steal my breath, holding it captive until I'm sure I'll lose consciousness. That would be bad. It's fine. Boris makes a weak attempt at soothing my nerves, but I appreciate it nonetheless. You obviously believe I can help you find your friend. Why? What does her disappearance have to do with me? He leans back into his chair and exhales loudly, a sign of annoyance. My heart plummets, then shatters. I'm sure Boris knows his son is the person who took her. Tasha told me when it comes to his men, especially his son, he knows all and sees all. This was a mistake of astronomical proportions. It was my last-ditch effort before heading to the cops again. They don't believe she's missing, but maybe I can try harder to convince them. Boris was my last hope, but he's mocking my concerns. Nothing. I'll apologize for wasting your time. This was an error in judgment, but I had a hunch, and I didn't feel right if I didn't pursue it. I scramble to my feet, hook my purse strap over my shoulder, and bolt towards the door. Afraid to turn around for fear he'll see the tears flooding my eyes, I shout my apologies and run. He raises his voice with a reply I can't hear. My heels echoing against the marble floor drowns out his voice. I holler again when I feel the vibrations of heavy steps close behind me. Forgive me, Mr. Volkov. I'll see myself out. Miss Sheridan, stop running. Boris follows, and my short stride is no match for his long legs. He's even scarier standing up, which is why I need to leave before Boris finds a reason to hold me hostage. Maybe he'll kill me for bothering him with something so dumb. According to rumors, he's killed hundreds of people. What's one more? Mr. Volkov, I'm leaving now. I don't know anything about your business. I won't tell anyone where you live. There's no need to harm me. A flurry of nonsensical words falls from my lips as his hand clasps my waist and swings me into his arms. My palms land on his hard chest, and I use whatever strength I gather to push him away. Fortunately, he releases me before I make a greater fool of myself. I'm not going to harm you. Boris lifts my purse, gently placing the strap on my shoulder, an embarrassing consequence of losing my cool and scattering my belongings on the polished floor. The corner of his mouth curves into a subtle smile, and my flushed skin turns to goose flesh. I apologize for giving you a hard time. Truth be told, I'm impressed by your bravery and loyalty to your friend. Take a walk with me, and I'll tell you what I know. That's the end of the second chapter.
Very riveting. I was like listening. Oh yeah, sorry. I have to. Okay, I was unmuting them. So I was like delayed because I was looking it up on Amazon. I'm just gonna say, like, so tell us what the title is, so for the readers, so that they know it. We had a couple come in towards the end. And she says, "Hi, Sasha," by the way. It's one of Sasha's fans, it looks like. So tell us what the title is that you read from.
The title is Big Bad Daddy.
Big Bad Daddy.
It's book 1. Actually, it's going to turn out to be book 2 with the other one, because it is a second part. But it's book 1 of the Volkov Bratva, and Volkov is Russian for wolf. So the first one was Big Bad Wolf, and now this is Big Bad Daddy.
And it's available now?
It's available now on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited.
Awesome. I did have a couple questions myself, and I like to be selfish that way and ask my own questions before I let our readers get on there. So I did want to know so you write age gap a lot.
Yes.
You write age gap. What is your favorite genre or trope in age gap to write?
Probably enemies to lovers. I like the friction of that. I like
I always love a good enemies to lovers.
I like enemies or rivals to lovers too, if they're work rivals. I would say that's probably one of my favorite ones.
And what about you, Sasha? How did you decide to write, or what's your favorite trope in your genre?
I do love enemies to lovers just because the tension and the friction there is, so much fun, and there's so many layers. But I also really like a friends to lovers. I think sometimes that kind of slow burn and the awareness of the other person, because you already know that person, can be really a fun journey too.
Yeah. And then how did you guys decide to write in your genre versus another genre?
For me, I've written. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Because I've written in paranormal, and then I guess now they're calling it romantasy, romantic fantasy, and contemporary. And basically, it was kind of being steered by my agent, really, as far as what would be the best for me to pursue at the time. And it's led me to be a lot of cowboys in small town, and I luckily I enjoy writing that. So I do miss writing, like we were talking before we started. The whole excitement about creating a world when you're writing paranormal is just so much fun. So I miss that quite a bit. But maybe eventually I can go back to that too.
Yeah. What about you, Matilda?
As far as romance, or as far as the subgenres, or the
in general, do you not write romance too? Do you write non-romance?
No, I've always written romance. I think it was, well, I'd always wanted to write. I'd always wanted to write, but I didn't really know how to get started or anything. But I think when I was reading, and I started reading romance, it was just I'd always read nonfiction, and I really, I started writing romance shortly after I started reading romance. Even though I'd always written, it'd always been kind of love stories, but there was always a bigger thing. And I started reading romance. I just liked it so much, and I liked the steamy part of it too. Because as a reader, I don't appreciate closed door at all. I don't appreciate, it's like, what happened, and you're just looking on the opposite side of the book, waiting for the rest of it. So I always wanted something, I guess for me, my imagination is working overtime all the time. So when I'm reading something, I want them to really tell me. And so when I'm writing, that's what I do as well. So I always like the steamy romance, and I started writing very short romance to begin with, short stories, and then made my way over to novellas, and then now just going into novels. But being from Texas, I don't write. I've only had maybe 1 or 2 books that are set in Texas. I don't really write. I don't feel like I'm good at writing cowboy romance or anything. That's probably what's expected of most Texans. But I don't. I almost all of my books are set in New York. I spend a lot of time there. My husband's from the East. And so it's just my favorite city. So it makes it very easy to sort of blend those worlds, because it's such a big city that they can be from all different parts of the city, but they may have met each other. So
So I don't know if you ladies know this, but Dylan is also from Texas.
Yeah.
She's not. Okay. Is that how you both met her? Because Dylan brought you guys in, I know, but yeah, she's also from Texas. So yeah.
I've known her as an author back and forth, but we met last year in Tennessee at a conference, and then we went to a retreat together, to a writing retreat together. So so that's how I know Dylan. We got to spend a week
online. I mean, we just know each other online. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask who here has met Dylan on look at a conference, but then also online. And so like that's where we're both at, I guess. We're all at here is a conference and online. So yeah, I met her online at an online conference. It's so weird, but yeah, like on things. But yeah, so Brittany, any more questions? We are already over time, ladies, so I think I'm going to pick up one, maybe two more questions. I told you it would go fast.
Sorry. What's your favorite social media to share your stories? I find this one fascinating too because I think it's different for everybody.
To share my stories, or to advertise my stories. I don't.
Either or.
I think same.
Yeah, I think they're about the same. Like I found that TikTok right now seems to be the most popular and seems to pick up more traction. But it's funny because I have other author friends who are like, no, Instagram. And I'm like, I've never had luck with Instagram. And others will say Facebook and X.
I like Facebook and Instagram. I'm trying to do more TikTok, but it's kind of hard. And I spend a lot of time on the videos, and if they're not getting enough views, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to do that for a while. But I probably interact most with readers on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
Same for me.
Okay. What about you, Brittany?
I've found that TikTok seems to be where I get the most, and I haven't been posting a whole lot lately just because, poor kids work in a farm.
And the flu.
I haven't had a whole lot of time, but when I do have one take off or just have one, I can interact more, and I've met more readers.
Oh my gosh, I love your husband so much. We love when husbands show up. Oh my gosh, how cool.
But yeah, I found that I have more interactions on TikTok, and it's like it's funny because I was joking with my husband, like I could spend like all this time putting together a TikTok video and it'll get like a couple hundred views and I'm happy. And then I have one where I'm just like, this is a cool sound. Let me throw my take on it, spend 5 seconds on it. And that will be the one that goes viral. But you get a lot of, I feel like you get to connect a little bit more. And I try to transition people to both platforms because, you hear those horror stories where somebody's like, oh, I lost my whole Facebook or I lost my whole TikTok. But it's like now it seems to be like TikTok and now a little bit more Instagram. I've never had a whole lot of luck with Instagram, but I'm having more readers connect with me through Instagram now. So I need to pick that up a little bit more. But TikTok can definitely get addicting.
TikTok, you can cross post to Instagram right away.
Yeah, and there's ways to I guess with the algorithm's gotten really funky, but there's ways to save it with that little watermark on it so you can kind of use it. But it's fun to post them at the same time and see what does better and pick up the little nuances. Like TikTok likes those snappy, quick videos where Instagram's more emotional.
Reels.
So it's interesting. And I kind of work in marketing. I write from marketing agency. So I'm picking up on some of those things, but it's just crazy what works for one doesn't work for the other.
I'm just going to say you and I need to reconnect again and have a conversation because I'm off on my social media marketing. So we need to chat again.
Yeah.
Like when you're not sick.
When I'm not sick and I don't sound like I'm smoking and
Didn't want to like just go to bed.
I'm
But,
passed
yeah.
out on y'all earlier. I was coughing. I'm like, oh, I'm really dizzy. That would have probably been a first for you to have somebody pass out on the show.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah. All right, let's do one more and then we got to go because we are already 5 minutes over, but let's do one more.
Let's see. There was one. What's the easiest part of the story for you to write? The beginning, the middle, or the end?
The middle. The beginning is
Really?
The beginning is just like, it's just like pulling teeth. It's just because you wanted to, really, you want to really bring it for the beginning because you want to hook people in. Because I know for me, if the book doesn't hook me in the beginning, the first few chapters, then I may not continue. So I just torture myself, just agonizing over the beginning for, forever. And then once I'm in the middle, that's the end also is easy. If I've reached the end, then we're just going to bring it home, but the middle is probably the easiest when when they've already met, when they've already, and we're just getting like to the meat of the romance. And then the end, by that time, I know what the end is, so I can write it pretty quickly too. I don't have too much tension other than maybe around the time that they meet. I don't have too much tension towards the end. Like there's no third act breakups or anything. So it's pretty easy, but the beginning, man, like I hate the beginning.
I agree.
That's interesting. I have never heard anybody say the middle. That's kudos to you. Like we're gonna have to talk more because I'm gonna have to be like, Matilda, how do you write the middle of the scene? Like
I kind of just want to start
hard.
in the middle sometimes. Like just like they've already met.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
Just go in and I can, bust out 12 chapters
Wow.
or something. And but yeah, the middle.
So do you write first or do you write linearly?
Yeah. No, I write linearly. That's the thing though, is if I can't get past the beginning, then I can't move on, and then so that will take, that'll take me the beginning will take me, a week and a half just to launch off for the first 2 chapters, and then I can write the next 12 in about 3 days or something, and then I can, then the last part, where you're kind of like
yeah.
So it just depends, but if I can get past the first few chapters, then I can roll all the way through.
Interesting.
What about you, Sasha?
I don't know if there's an easiest part. I mean, it's kind of a book by book thing. You know what I mean? I think for me, it really is. Some books I think are just have a better flow when I'm writing them. You know what I mean? So it's like you're not even really aware where you are because you're just so in it. I like the beginning. But I mean, then there's something rewarding about each stage because you're making that progress. So I don't know. That's a tough question.
Yeah. Great. All right. Well, we are almost. 8 minutes. I wanted to say 10. If it was 9 minutes, I'd have round. I should still round up. But we are 8 minutes over time. So thank you, ladies, so much for joining us tonight. You have some giveaways going on. Readers, don't forget to go and put in for their giveaways. They have some awesome ones. Yeah. And thank you again, Brittany, for joining us tonight.
Feel better, Brittany.
Yeah, you too.
Feel better, both of you.
And you too, Sasha. We made a joke like, Matilda, are you sick? Do you have the flu? Like that's the first question she asked when she popped up.
Allergies.
So thank you again for joining us, and we will again be back on the second Thursday of February. I don't even know what day that is. Let me see. Is it Valentine's Day? No, it's the 8th. Dang it. Okay. It's the 8th. And we will see you again. And thank you again. And we'll see you later.
Thank you both.
Bye.